Hi, I'm Megan Morris from Megan Morris TV, and I am here with Mark Hayes from Stockworth, and we have some really fun things to talk to you about.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on Megan Morris TV. I don't know if people realize it, but what you do, what we do, is actually very important. I don't think people realize how much real estate impacts everybody. It's 18% of our GDP. It's the #1 way people acquire wealth. And at Stockworth, we have absolutely integrated you into our entire presentation, from the listing presentation all the way through. And so thank you for inviting me on today. I think we're going to get into the thick of it here. I don't think people realize, they know you as a stager. You have a staging company, you have a moving company, you have a consulting company, design company. I mean, what else? I mean, I'd like to hear just everything that you do kind of summarized.
Well, everything we do has to do with in the home industry market. And so it started off when we started looking
You're
at
like HGTV, right? That's what Megan TV is.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is make the home more valuable and
Right.
package it. And everything is, there's so much in this world about packaging. They say you can sell almost anything if it's packaged right. And people
Steve Jobs has proved that, right?
That's right. So you can see they spend lots of money in the grocery stores, everywhere, just everything in the merchandising, making sure everything's just placed just perfectly.
You know, it's funny, when I think about real estate, it's a tough industry because there's literally thousands and thousands of agents, right? But it's really the 2% that sell over $5 million a year. And when I look at how people do valuations, they say it's a CMA or a comparables, but there's so much more to valuation. And as a commercial broker for years, we just looked at the numbers, right? And you've taught me so much about the emotional side of valuation. Give me some ways how you bring the emotion into valuing a house.
Well, it's funny. You don't always know what it is when you walk into the right house. You can spend all this money on doing all the research, and then people walk in, and you'll even say, I need to have this, this, and this when I went in this house. And you walk in, and it might not have all those things on your checklist, but it just feels right. It's that visceral feel you get when you walk in a house it's just staged right. Mm-hmm. And it might not even be it's the furniture. It's the paint colors. It's the ambiance. It's the view. The way when everything is placed correctly, the scale is right, the feel is right. It just seems to be a perfect fit for you.
You know, it's funny. I've seen you in action. You sold. I'm not going to say who the person was, but you sold one of my toughest homes in Isleworth when we were there, and the client was tough. And what I loved about you is when I brought you in, you interviewed the seller, and you probably spent almost 2 hours with that person, hearing how they used the house. Mm-hmm. You went into every room and how they activated a room. Walk me through that process. I mean, I know you work with a lot of brokers in that capacity. So tell us what you do in that regard.
Well, every house has a story. Every room has a purpose. So I think it's really important to hear from the homeowner what they use the room for, and that might help you when you're staging it, because people want to walk in a house and know what it was for, what its best use is. Even if you make it better, at least you have a good idea, kind of the story behind it.
You know what? Let's get past this fluffy stuff. Let's get to the money.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the money, because I know staging, to some people, a lot of the inexperienced agents, they look at it as just a cost. It's expensive.
Right.
But I've made a lot of money. Pardon me for saying this. I've made a lot of money off you and your consultants. Let's get into the economics of it. What are the stats on staging?
Well, it's a difference of 10 to 30% difference
in the homes that are priced.
Yes.
But I mean, on terms of a staged house, how much it brings on an unstaged house? What are those stats?
Well, it sells in half the amount of time, and the amount of money it goes for.
You had told me, and I'm gonna pull this sheet up, and these are national statistics that you brought to the table. You said that across the board, that 85% of the time, a house will bring at least 6% more, as much as 25, 29% more. Right. So I did a little math here. On a $500,000 house, that's $30,000. Yes. At the closing table. Right. That's a lot of money. Do you see that?
Oh, yes.
I mean, absolutely. We see it, but you work with a lot of other agents, not just us.
Yeah, that's why staging pays for itself and some. So people look at, they're looking at the cost of what they should put into their house. To factor in having it staged is really a bonus, and you'll make it back. And a lot of times tenfold.
Yeah, but it's not just staging, Megan. I would argue, when you came to my house and I had that big party, it wasn't the furniture you brought. You literally rearranged the furniture that I already had in my house And my wife's like, oh my gosh, the flow is so much better. And it created conversations and stuff. So it's not just the furniture, it's not just the staging. You really bring an expertise of how rooms should be activated. And I know a lot of times when I look at inexperienced agents and they'll pull comps, right? They don't really go out and look at those comps. But you mentioned 10 to 30%. This is a fact that when you look across the average buyer, they will look at 10 homes over 10 weeks. That's a National Association of Realtors statistic. We see it all the time. And when you check with lenders, lenders also say the same thing. Lenders will say you get pre-qualified for 500. They'll look at 450 up to 550, right? So there's a big range. It's war, right?
Right.
And so when I look at the pictures and we go look at those homes, there's not that much difference. But what really sticks out is the immediate emotional appeal. You'll see buyers walk in and they'll either go, ah, or they just, they get quiet and walk around it. But to me, $30,000 on a $500,000 house, that's $60,000. That's just a minimum.
Right,
that's just the 6%.
Correct.
Walk me through what it costs to stage a house.
Well, typically it's around $1,500, $1,200 to $1,500 to do
Per
a
room,
house.
per month?
Well, no, it's about $200 per room per month.
That's all.
Yes, and there's a move-in, move-out fee. So it's not a huge investment, and the return is incredible, like you said. You know, and a lot of times they don't need a whole house staged. You know, some people might have some furniture that's perfectly fine. It's just how it's positioned, because when you live in a house, it's very different than when you go to sell it.
I went through our records, and it's around 2,000. We do a lot of $1 million homes, right? And I looked, and our homes do, you know, with the market the way it is today, homes are selling in 60 days. And it was around $2,000 to $3,000 total. But, you know, we're known for getting higher prices. And I would imagine you see that across the board, right?
Right.
Now, we contract with you. You're our, you know, designer of record. You're a part of our evaluation process. Do you offer that to other brokers?
We do. We have some realtors and some brokers that just will not put a house on the market until we've gone through and looked at it, because it's a really important process of the pre-marketing tool. If to do it afterwards it's a big difference. You want to get the most impact when you put the house on the market. You don't get that. You know, you only get one chance to make that first impression.
Right. You know, I look at, you know, we all of our agents in the top 1%, and they sell $5 million and up. If you think about 10 homes and $30,000 each home, I mean, that adds up quickly, right?
Yes, that's a lot of money.
I was kind of trying to justify the cost and play devil's advocate. Looked at $1 million house, and I thought about all the spaces that you really consult on, right? You got the front yard, curb appeal, the living room, dining room, 3 or 4 bedrooms. There's 10 spaces, right? So if you think of $1 million home, that's $100,000 per room, right? And you're saying that if you get the least amount of uptick nationally, that's $5,000 per room.
Right.
And you're saying that you can stage the whole house for less than $5,000.
That's right.
It's crazy.
I know. It is.
So walk me through, like, I know when you look at a room, there's different areas of the room, the floor, walls. And walk me through, like, what you think about when you're choosing how a room should be laid out.
Well, we're looking at the house's, the home's architecture and its best features. What are the best sellable features in this house? Is it the view of the lake? If it is, we want to take anything that blocks that lake and we want to remove it. We want to show that that's a picture window.
And you write all that out for the agent.
We go through, either they write it out or the home. We have, one way or the other. But we make sure it's that they're. If it's the architecture, if it's those ceilings, if it's the detail, whatever the details are, we want to make sure that's what's accentuated. And a lot of times when you're living in a house, you have a lot of extra stuff. It's very common,
Jody, are you watching this?
Everybody has that extra stuff. But when you go to sell it, you want to minimize it. And that includes sometimes taking down those very expensive, heavy drapes. We might want to either draw them all the way or remove them when we're selling a house, because we want to show the home and its what is selling the house. And a lot of times we're competing with new construction, and new construction is packaged perfectly. It's new. It's got all the new bells and whistles. So what can we do to make this house compare to that house? And a lot of times that is decluttering and neutralizing and making it more sellable, packaged that way.
I hear all that, but as a guy, I'm a CCIM,
right?
And we try and apply commercial standards to the residential market at Stockworth, but they don't anywhere teach you about these things in real estate school or anywhere else. and it's fascinating. I still can't get over the numbers here. Did some quick figuring here. You know, that's an extra $150,000 a year to the bottom line for these agents, and you have a program where you will lock onto the broker and do all the homes.
Right.
You do that for Lake Nona, right?
Yes.
So tell us the services you provide Lake Nona, because they're wildly successful over there.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job. We go and we look at the house before they list it, and so we give before we list it. I was at a house the other day and we walked through and.
But you're doing that on behalf of the Lake Nona firm.
Correct.
So the seller sees that as extra bonus, and
yes.
they don't pay for that, do they?
No.
Okay.
It's a great pre-marketing tool, and it helps them get ready to have it on. Like we said, you don't want to put a house on the market until it's perfectly ready. So the packaging is so important. And sometimes it's really easy fixes. I mean, paint goes a long way. You can even paint over wallpaper if it's done correctly.
So Megan, I know you have books. You've been on national television. I believe you're the largest staging company in the world.
Well, we're well, we are
America's
growing,
number one staging
very fast.
and I know you have a moving company and you do a lot of things. So we're gonna cover that in future shows. Tell me what your vision for Megan Morris Television is.
We would like to show all aspects of the industry, everything you can do to make your house more sellable, more valuable, more beautiful, more how to entertain, all kinds of tips and all kinds of things.
Yeah,
to
but
make
you
your
know
house
what got
livable.
my attention? I hear all
numbers?
that. The numbers. I
Yes.
hear all that. I have, we're a small firm,
Yes.
20 agents, and I look at their closing, and every single time you're involved, our clients make more money. We get better referrals. It's a more enjoyable process. The house sells faster. I make a lot of money off of you as an advisor, and I consider you a home advisor, evaluation expert, not just a stager. I will tell you, your entire team blows me away. Every time they come to one of our properties, they're dressed right, they're articulate, they really add to the team. And I actually tell people you're a part of our team, so thank you for all that.
You're welcome.
So tell me about the show. How often are you going to do Megan Morris TV?
Once a week.
Once a week?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on. This is exciting.
Thank you for being here. Hope to have you again.
Oh.